Well, it's another cold one. 0 degrees today. A cold back. Always fun. Bloody freezing. Absolutely freezing. But yeah, this morning I want to talk about. I thought of this phrase. I think it was last week actually. After reading some comments in some other videos, listening to what people are struggling with, and it was all about. It seemed to be about relationships, and you meet someone and they break your heart and they screw you over, cheat on you, they do awful things to you, and then you resent them, and then you resent everyone. You think everyone's bad. And the phrase that I thought of was, not everyone's evil, but everyone has evil in them. And I do think that's true. I think we all have the capability to do something bad. And we all do it. We all do bad things. No one's perfect. And everyone does stuff, and sometimes they don't even realise the consequences of what they've done. And they've not actually got any intention on being evil necessarily. And for me, that phrase helps me have a bit more faith in society, in people, because maybe it's just that they did a bad thing and not that they're a bad person. Because that's what we're like sometimes. Sometimes we're emotional, sometimes we're suffering and we act on emotions and we do wrong things. We do bad things. Even if we know the bad things, we still do them. And you've got to think, well, we're only human at the end of the day. And it's not justifying these bad behaviours that other people do. It's just understanding that they're not necessarily an evil person. They just sometimes do things that are wrong. And I also read something else in my notes this morning, and it was about forgiveness. And, is saying sorry enough? Is it truly enough? I'm not fully sure if it is. It's almost like you've got to say sorry and not do it again. But if you do it again, you're then not sorry. Sometimes mistakes happen. And that ties in with what I said. Sometimes we make mistakes and we haven't got any bad intention. It's just sometimes we're weak. And we need to almost admit that to ourselves and hold our hands up and say, you know what? We did do something wrong. We're not evil, but we did something wrong. And it might help the other person, I guess, not hold as much resentment and hate inside them. Because these comments that I was seeing, I mean, it almost sounds like they've give up on the world or give up on everyone. When that's not the case. It's just that some people do bad things sometimes. And it doesn't mean that they're a horrid person. It's just a mistake they make. They've got too into their emotions. And forgiveness is such a funny thing. Because I can mean to forgive. I can be like, no, I am actually really sorry. But that other person might not recognize that. It's very hard for someone to feel your forgiveness, but it's so easy to forgive. It's so easy to forgive. And I wonder if forgiveness is just admitting that you were wrong, admitting you made a mistake. And I wonder if that's enough. Sometimes it's not. But I do wonder if that's sometimes because we can't understand. We can't understand why someone's done something to us. You know, when I'm talking about that, I'm thinking of heartbreak. I'm thinking of, you know, you've had your life almost crushed. I mean, I've never been through heartbreak necessarily. And I hope to God that I never do. Don't get me wrong, I've had feelings of sadness when it comes to that area in the past. But I never fully felt it. And all I can do is imagine what it must feel like. And it must feel like shock. It must feel like how, why? And when you've got that, when you don't understand why something's happened, when you've not got an explanation, I can fully understand why you wouldn't accept someone's forgiveness. Because you can't even get past the fact of like, no, let me understand why have I done this? And at the end of the day, sometimes it's just you're not right for that person. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. Maybe they see it as that, but it's not that. It's, you're just not a match. And that's kind of as simple as it is. You know, there's a quote from a movie. I can't remember the movie. But the guy gets asked, what's one thing you were told that was a lie? Something like that. And he says, it's not that simple. And he says, no, it is that simple. You know, that's the lie. And sometimes it's as simple as you're not a match for each other. You know, you've both forced something to happen. You're both forced because you're both lonely, because you're both insecure. You've almost formed a relationship in the wrong way because you're almost counting on each other too much. And you've not sort of fell in love for the right ways, for the right reasons. Which again, that's a mistake on your part. And it's tough to hear when you're going through something like that. And it's the thing, you know, no one wants to tell you. No one wants to make the feeling any worse. They want to support you. But sometimes that's the truth. Sometimes, you know, it was your mistake for getting in that relationship in the first place and not having the courage to not commit to that, to realize, you know, we're not right for each other. You know, I can understand that feeling. That's so tough. When you're lonely, you just want someone. And anyone that understands, you sort of grasp onto that little bit of understanding. And, you know, it can kill you. It can really damage you. And that's why I think people get hurt from relationships. Not saying that I wouldn't. Obviously, I would. I'd be devastated if my relationship broke up. It would almost crumble my world a little bit. But it's almost take a little bit of it away from a human. They're not necessarily evil. They've just done something bad. And to me, it gives me a bit more faith in humanity. You know, when I look at, someone's just reacting that way because they're hurt. Someone's just acting that way because they're lost and they don't know who they are. And they're reacting in a way that's insecure. And being insecure is so damaging to each other. Yet it's so hard to fix. Don't get me wrong, it's not an easy fix. But, you know, like I always say, if you're just open and honest about your insecurities, at least other people can expect what's going to happen. Can expect something. But yeah, it was just an interesting phrase that I thought of in my head. No, not everyone's evil, but everyone has evil in them. I think I've thought of that because you've got to look at the perspective of yourself. You don't think yourself as being evil, yet you love hurt people. And that's just what's happening to you. And it's just changing that perspective to try and relate to them. And it's hard, obviously. It's hard because you probably hate the person or whoever, or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, peace.